Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the graduation ceremony of the first ever chapter of Women Lead Nordics. I'm Swati Budhwar from HCL Technologies, and I will be your host for the evening. Before we start the ceremony, just a few points to keep in mind for the duration of the event. Please keep your microphones muted at all times. For the best viewing experience, please click on the right top corner of your screen and select the active speaker view option, and then choose floating panel view. And in case you face any technical difficulties, please reach out to our team using the chat option in the Cisco WebEx platform. As we start the ceremony, let me take a moment to thank you all for joining us for this special occasion today. I would like to specially welcome the esteemed leaders from the government, civil society, and business arenas who join us as speakers for today's ceremony. We are really looking forward to hearing your views and insights on important topics that concern the conversation on gender balance and the state of women in leadership. I would also like to extend a warm welcome to Maureen Johnson, the Executive Coach of Women Lead Nordics Chapter 1, and HCL leaders Arthur Philip, Pankaj Tagda, and Anuradha Khosla, all who've been pivotal in the success and making of this program. And it is a pleasure and privilege to be joined by the families, friends, colleagues, and seniors of our participants, as well as leaders and executives from global organizations who've taken time out from their busy schedules to be part of this momentous ceremony. The event is also being live streamed for our audiences on the official YouTube and other social channels of HCL Tech. And finally, a very warm welcome to the ones who we celebrate today, the graduating cohort of Women Lead Nordics Chapter 1. It's the culmination of one journey and the start of another, a moment of pride and a moment of empowered aspiration, ambition, and hope for this phenomenal bunch. This year, in February, is when this powerful cohort came together for the first time, as they embarked on their mentorship journeys for over the next few months. Today, we meet once again to celebrate this promising group as they reflect on their journey with the program, their achievements, their growth, and the invaluable relationships they've forged with their mentors and with each other. To rise to higher levels of leaderships, apart from technical skills, what one truly needs is to be part of a powerful network, one that you can rely on and constantly learn from. This cohort of Women Lead Nordics is one such power network, where industry leaders of today and aspiring women leaders of tomorrow come together to create their own circle of influence. Let's have a look at what the circle of influence really means. Can we have the video, please? A future where women lead. That is what essentially sits at the center of this entire effort. But this effort is not a one-time effort. It is not a one-program effort. It is not even a one country, one region effort. Women Lead is in effect a movement that starts in rooms like these, with cohorts like yours, and with the strong will of leaders like the ones who've joined us to drive this change. A movement of which the impact will be felt far beyond these dimensions. Because tomorrow, when you become leaders, it will be your turn to guide and develop others as you were once supported by your mentors. It will be your time to pay it forward and help more women in their careers as they break the glass ceiling. Now, without any further ado, I would like to invite on screen someone who's been a steadfast champion of the program with his unwavering support and guidance during all times. Executive Vice President and Head Nordic and Dark Regions for HCL Technologies, Pankaj Tagra.
Thank you, Swati, and good afternoon, good evening to all of you. I hope you all can hear my voice. Swati, am I audible?
Absolutely, Pankaj, crystal clear.
Thank you. In 2018, we had celebrated 10 years of HCL's presence and growth in the Nordic region. One of the key commitments we had made to ourselves, our customers, and to our community was the spirit of diversity and inclusivity will be the foundation of everything we do it here. Today, HCL is a global technology company that empowers enterprises with technology for the next decade today. We are spread across 50 countries worldwide and home to 153,000 employees. In Nordics, we have more than 1,600 employees representing 31 nationalities, creating value for more than 50 large-scale transformation clients. And we believe that diversity and inclusion are crucial factors for companies that want to stay competitive and innovative. I'm very proud to mention that HCL board today is led by a woman. Our chairperson, Ms. Roshni Nadir Malhotra, is the first woman to head a listed large Indian IT company. Today, HCL is privileged to be in a position where we believe we can play an active role in driving diversity and inclusive agenda in both our community and our workplace. As a part of the effort here in Nordics, we continue to support Team Yota Tenbury, a girl youth ice hockey team that together with Ekiro Ike and Hesselby Shelvasta has created the first girls junior hockey league in Stockholm. There are many more partnerships we are hoping to announce soon, be it in business or off it. We will always be looking at level playing field for all. Across economies and cultures, men and women enter the workforce in equal numbers. But only a handful of women grow to reach at the top ranks, thereby causing a huge disparity in gender representation at the top tier of management. This is a universal state of affairs. Look at Sweden today. Female managers are most common in the public sector. But in the private sector, only 3 of the 10 managers are women. Studies show a huge disparity between genders when it comes to CEO positions. In the public listed companies in Nordic region, the figures varies from 0 to 8%. The recent Gender Gap Report 2020 from World Economic Forum reveals that men are overrepresented on the boards in all Nordic countries as well, who we seem to believe are doing quite well. Maybe they are doing quite well as compared to many other countries in the world. But the same study shows that only 12.5% of the top managers of Swedish companies are women. While there are multiple ways to promote and enable women leaders, including policy measures, several studies indicate that a formal mentorship program goes a long way in building the leaders of the future. Younger women need to see role models. They need a platform to be able to talk to those role models, depend on them, create a social network, get inspired, and follow them. Hence, we launched a program called Women Lead. As most of you know, Women Lead program started in 2015 in Australia, the first batch of cross-industry aspiring women leaders who were matched with their mentors and embarked on a journey of self-discovery and career growth. Australia completed its 3rd chapter this year, while for the first time we brought this program to Nordics. Many of you joined us during the launch in February when we introduced the first batch of 18 pairs of mentors and mentees who signed up for the program. The program brought together industry leaders, mentors for aspiring women to interact with, share, and learn from. Guided by our executive coach, Ms. Maureen Johnson, the members of this cohort, both mentors and mentees, defined their strategic goals for this program over next few months, while the program was being monitored and aided in a very structured process. 9 months down the line, this first cohort of Women Lead Nordics is joining us again to celebrate their graduation. Congratulations to all you aspiring women leaders. Congratulations for pursuing your passion, for finding your own voice, for investing in yourself. To all mentors, thank you for your dedication towards the program. You have been trustworthy ally, a confident and a promoter, a supporter to these women, and for all this, we are incredibly grateful to you. We are very encouraged by the passion and commitment shown by all of you. We promise to continue this initiative next year as well and launch the second chapter. We hope even a larger participation. At this graduation ceremony today, it is an honor to be joined by leaders who passionately believe in similar values as we do, and who, by virtue of many initiatives they are leading in their respective careers, influence and inspire. I would like to warmly welcome Maria Nelius Stapp, Director Foreign Affairs Denmark, Lotta Schilin, former Swedish professional footballer and a published author, Christina David, Vice President, Business and CIO, Head of Enterprise Systems Ericsson, Maureen Johnson, Executive Coach of Women Lead Nordics Chapter, and our esteemed customers and members of HCL leadership team and HCL Nordic team to this program. On behalf of HCL and the first batch of mentors and mentees, I thank you for joining us today. Your presence and support means a lot to us. To kickstart the meeting, I would like to invite our guest of honor today, Carolyn Roosting. Carolyn has served as a director of United Nations Women's Nordic Liaison Office since 2018. She has an experience graph spanning from her role as UN Women Chief Humanitarian in New York to United Nations Women Country Program Manager in Somalia. She has experience from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Denmark, the World Bank, and UNDP. She has been leading role model and a strong ally for gender equality, and she believes that United Nations Sustainable Development Goal number 5, gender equality, is one of the consistent enablers in achieving sustainable development goals. Please join me in welcoming Carolyn Roosting.
Thank you so much. Can you hear me?
Yes, Carolyn, absolutely.
Okay, wonderful. So thank you so much for inviting me, and good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. I'm very happy to be here and to join you on this sort of first Women Lead graduation in the Nordic countries. My name is Carolyn Roosting, as you heard, and I'm Director of the Nordic Liaison Office of UN Women in Copenhagen. And we are working on resource mobilization, communication, and advocacy for UN Women. We work with UN member states, we work with the private sector, civil society, and organizations to promote gender equality and women empowerment. UN Women is the UN agency responsible for gender equality and women empowerment. But what I want to talk with you today, and also why I'm very happy to be here, is that we need to have everyone deliver on gender equality to be able to reach the Sustainable Development Goals in 2030, and also to be able to end gender inequality by 2030, which is, of course, the goal of SDG number 5. So that's also why I'm very pleased to see initiatives such as Women Lead, where the private sector is using their influential role in society to champion women leadership empowerment. So in this sense, you are really part of a global community. So today, as I speak to you as women leaders and women that will become leaders, I want to underscore the importance of your role, not just as leaders in companies, but as an important leader in society overall, which I think is a very important aspect of this. So as women leaders, you are role models. You are proof of glass ceilings shattered and also opportunities yet to be explored. You can be a voice for women leadership and an example of the equal claim we as women have to top positions in our society. And in that way, you're helping us achieve gender equality. And this is what I would like to highlight to you today. Since I'm here representing UN Women, I also want to bring a little bit of a global perspective into this discussion. I want to accentuate that as the COVID-19 pandemic risks putting gender equality efforts on hold and also to some extent reverse it, the importance of women leadership and multi-stakeholder partnership for reaching the 2030 agenda is more crucial than ever as we're building back better, stronger, and more equal. I'd like to give you a little bit of context in terms of the global efforts on gender equality. As some of you may know, 2020 marks the 25th anniversary of the Beijing Declaration and Platform for Action. And that is a framework for change where each woman and girl can exercise her freedom and choice and realize all her rights. So the Beijing Declaration and Platform for Action is really considered the most progressive blueprint for advancing gender equality and women empowerment to date, and presents opportunity to reflect on how far we've come and what remains. So last year, in 2019, most of the countries in the world, 172 in fact, did their own self-assessment on where they had and how far they on their commitment to the Beijing Declaration and Platform for Action. So there are some progress, and I want to highlight that. 132 countries have removed discriminatory laws. More than 65% of countries have reached gender parity in educational enrollment in primary education. 75% of countries have introduced or strengthened parental leave, and in that way recognizing the need to address the disproportionate burden of responsibility placed on women for unpaid care and for domestic work. And women today lead and hold decision-making positions in business, governments, and in organizations. So overall, this progress really demonstrates trends can be broken, but it remains very uneven and also too slow, and no country has yet to fully achieve gender equality. The Secretary General's report on the Beijing Declaration and Platform for Action really highlight that the gender gap in labor force participation has remained unchanged between 1998 and 2018 at 31 percentage points. It also highlights improved education among women has done little to shift deeply entrenched occupational segregation, and the global gender pay gap continues to be at 20%. Women still carry out a disproportionate share of unpaid care and domestic work, and women are significantly underrepresented or locked out of decision-making and leadership roles across all sectors, not only sort of in private sector, but also as parliamentarians. Globally, only 27% of managerial positions in government, large enterprises, and other institutions were held by women in 2018, and only 24% of parliamentarians were women. So there's quite a long way to go. This is disquieting since women leadership is crucial to achieve gender equality globally. Therefore, it has been one of UN Women's key areas of work over the last few years. And in addition to that, women's full and equal participation has been recognized as essential for achieving all the SDGs, not only SDG 5. I think that's important to also note. The Nordic region has been heralded for leading on gender equality. And here we see that Finland, Iceland, Norway, and Sweden top the global gender gap index. But despite this, challenges for women empowerment in the Nordics persist. We still see a largely gender-segregated labor market, and this has been termed the gender equality paradox. And this is basically where we have a gender-segregated labor market in countries where we have a gender equality-oriented, welfare states. We also see that gender norms still influence decisions related to parental leave. The Nordic countries did a study in 2019 called The State of the Nordic Fathers, which shows that fathers still take shorter parental leave than mothers. And the study found that fathers who take shorter parental leave are more likely to adhere to traditional norms of masculinity. So these are remaining challenges for achieving full gender equality and women empowerment in the Nordic countries. So the gender equality challenges that we're currently facing, both in the Nordic countries and globally, are exacerbated by the COVID-19 pandemic. The pandemic, as mentioned earlier, risks putting gender equality efforts on hold and even reversing the progress made in recent decades. And this is incredibly serious. Pre-COVID-19, the World Economic Forum estimated that it would take 257 years to close the gender gap in the field of economic participation and opportunities. So indeed, initial evidence is showing that the socioeconomic implications of COVID-19 are impacting women disproportionately. And we see that women's jobs are 1.8 times more vulnerable to the crisis than men's. And we see a feminization of poverty and a spike in gender-based violence. So, as you know, a lot of governments have responded with fiscal response to the economic effects of COVID-19, and they have, to a large extent, been very quick, and they've also been massive. In fact, over $10 trillion and counting. But these responses have largely ignored the needs of women. Only 1 in 8 countries have measures in place to protect women against the socioeconomic impact of the virus. So a commitment to a gender transformative COVID-19 response is indispensable for an inclusive economic recovery and to build back better and stronger. So here, there's a space and a need for women's voices to be heard and for women to lead. So as women bring different perspectives and experiences to the table, their contribution to better informed decisions, and also more just outcomes and policies and law that work for both women and men is really paramount. Today, we are seeing countries led by women have the most effective response to COVID-19. We also see that women are the front line of the fight against COVID-19, comprising 70% of the global health workforce. Yet around the world, too few women are leading COVID-19 response and recovery efforts. Only 24.7% of the world's health ministers are women, and they hold just 25% of senior roles in health institutions. So many of the COVID-19 national task forces are dominated by men. Women's perspective, in that case, remains excluded. In the economic sphere, studies have shown that companies with greater gender diversity, especially among senior leaders, are more profitable. And this is what was mentioned earlier. Policies that ensure women participation in the economy not only promote and diversify growth, but also reduce income inequality, mitigate demographic shifts, and contribute to financial sector stability, creating stronger, more efficient, and more sustainable economic growth for all. So overall, women leadership in all spheres of society is both a prerequisite for gender equality and a goal in its own right. So what are UN Women currently doing to advance women leadership and gender equality? UN Women is calling for a renewed commitment by government in partnership with civil society, youth, academia, and the private sector through the global campaign, which is called Generation Equality, Realizing Women's Right for an Equal Future. The campaign demands equal pay, equal sharing of unpaid care and domestic work, and an end to sexual harassment and all forms of violence against women and girls. Healthcare services that respond to their needs, and women and girls' equal participation in political life and decision-making in all areas. It calls for engagement in a feminist view of climate change and also for women engagement in technology and innovation. So this campaign, and this may be interesting for you as you're working in the private sector, this will be launched at the Generation Equality Forum, convened by UN Women and hosted by the governments of Mexico and France in 2 gatherings during the first half of 2021. And also private companies will be able to join this together with heads of states as we're gathering in a multi-stakeholder partnership with all these different actors. And maybe I can ask for the first slide to be shared. So as you can see from this slide, this is an overview of 6 what we call action coalitions. So this will be launched at the Generation Equality Forum, which I just mentioned. And these 6 action coalitions, they are basically based on what was identified in the review of the Beijing Declaration and Platform for Action. These are areas of work where we have a lot of knowledge, where there is funds available, and where there is global experience to address these issues. I will not read them because you can see them there on your screen. But what I want to mention is that all these 6 themes, 6 action coalitions, these are global, innovative, multi-stakeholder partnership that will mobilize governments, civil society, international organizations, and the private sector to launch a targeted set of concrete, ambitious, and immediate actions in the period of 2020 to 2025 to deliver tangible impact on gender equality for women and girls and on human rights. Can I ask for the next slide, please? Thank you. So I just wanted to share this just to illustrate, and again, I won't go through it, but here you see examples of several member states, several international organizations, UN agencies, philanthropy, civil society organizations, and youth-led organizations that are engaged in each of these 6 action coalitions. And there is still the opportunities to engage in this either as leads or by joining the themes of the action coalition. So I'll be happy to, not at this event, but at the later stage, happy to revert back on that. So what's important for UN Women is that we believe in the ability of businesses and philanthropy to play an active central role in transforming our world and achieve gender equality and women empowerment. And this partnership will then be national platforms for a coordinated effort to achieve this. Can I ask for the next slide, please? Thank you so much. So the last thing I would like to mention to you is a specific thing that we are promoting among private sector companies in order to promote gender equality internally. So UN Women and UN Global Compact have identified what we call the WEPs, Women Empowerment Principles. And there are 7 principles, as you can see here on the screen. The Women Empowerment Principles, they offer practical guidance to businesses on how to empower women in the workplace, in the marketplace, and in the community. So by signing the Women Empowerment Principle, the Chief Executive Officer signals commitment to this agenda at the highest level of the company, and also signals the willingness to work collaboratively in the stakeholder networks to foster business practices and empower women. The Women Empowerment Principles, they also hold businesses accountable as companies, as they need to, because they need to report on progress. Globally, there are more than 3,000 companies that have signed the Women Empowerment Principles. In the Nordics, Lego just did it last week. Nokia is planning to do it as well. But in the Nordics, not very many companies have signed the Women Empowerment Principles. So you could play a role in companies that you're working with in order to, promote this, because it is an important tool for companies to hold themselves available. And we can, through your colleagues, share, information on this. So thank you. You can pull down this slide again. So to round off, I want to very much congratulate the HCL Technologies on a great initiative that will help facilitate women's empowerment, women leadership, and ultimately gender equality. I'm very pleased to have been invited to speak here today, and I wish you all the best of luck on your way forward as champions for women's rights and women leadership. So congratulations on your graduation, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Carolyn. That was a very insightful session, particularly when you mentioned that women leadership is crucial for women empowerment, and women empowerment is crucial for achieving all sustainable development goals, and not just the one about gender equality. Thank you again. Moving on, for the next session, I would now like to invite on screen a leader whose strong personal belief in the cause for gender balance propelled the realization of Women Lead's vision of being a truly global platform, one that impacts more and more women executives with each step that it takes. A leader who quite literally gave the program its wings. Executive Vice President of Sales Transformation and Marketing at HCL Technologies, Arthur Phillip.
Hi, thank you, Swati, and good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all around the world. Welcome. I am so thrilled to join you today as we honor the participants of the HCL Women Lead program, the Nordics chapter, the mentors, the mentees, the program team, the great companies that are represented, the great governments that are represented, including on a world stage, and the overall network and ecosystem that has evolved over this last year. And welcome to the many, many people tuning in today around the world on our live streams on YouTube and Facebook. As I was coming to work, dialing into the call today, it was wonderful to see how many people in so many countries are tuning in to see this. I also want to thank Pankaj Tagra, a true champion and partner at HCL, and Carolyn Roosting for such encouraging words and insights. As I listen to Carolyn, I am excited about the work that the UN is doing. And as HCL is a member of the United Nations Global Compact for Sustainability, I look forward to the day where even more countries sign up to support the great work shaping all this work around the world. And I also want to mention that we are a big supporter of the women empowerment principles. So let's hope we can all push companies and countries to get more actively involved and engaged in this supportment. It is so important to what we do. Now, as we look back, today we're celebrating the initial success of the program here in the Nordics, getting a glimpse into the relationships, the learnings, the insights, really understanding the framework while learning from the program itself as we look to the future, where we're going to scale and bring immense opportunities to women leaders by region and worldwide. In HCL, for us, the Women Lead program began 5 years ago with our first chapter in Australia, with the objective of helping women executives reach senior leadership roles. Women Lead began the journey with a formal mentorship program where senior industry leaders mentored aspiring women leaders from across a range of organizations. Over 5 years, we've commenced 3 chapters in Australia. Our Nordics chapter was launched earlier this year in February, and we're excited to announce we will have the dates very shortly, but we're moving full steam ahead, where we're going to commence the program in the United States, in Canada, across continental Europe, in some different parts of Asia, as well as in India, and further additions here in the Nordics. So we're not done in this region, really one of the most beautiful places in the world to live and to work and to be. Today, the Women Lead initiative has grown not only in reach, but in scope and in scale, and in impact of the many activities that we are delivering through a digital community, through networking forums, through partnerships with academia and with governments. The program really took a new step in its evolution over this past year. Certainly with everything taking place, just the true impact of what COVID has done and the way it has forced a complete rethinking of how we all get together in groups large and small. It's given us an opportunity to not only rethink, but expand the opportunities to engage with the program itself. And so from that standpoint, we see this not just as a mentorship program, but now a unified platform that can connect aspiring women leaders to a network of success and support around the world. And we envision a platform that becomes a continuous source of mentorship and gives all the participants a chance to create a circle of trust. And this is something to me that is very important, an opportunity to pay it forward. We all, men and women, can think of people in our lives that helped us launch our career and get to every stage. And without those people putting a lending hand out, none of us would be in the roles and the positions that we've worked hard for. And this is a great opportunity to expand upon that. Today, we see the potential of this platform being real big, with an opportunity to trigger a global movement. And even in these COVID challenging times, I will tell you that this vision leaves us feeling a lot of joy and excitement for the future. None of this would be possible without the support of our closest collaborators, our clients, industry leaders, educators, mentors, and at every step of the way, their inspiration, their insight, their remarkable participation and perspectives, the learnings that we have gathered along the way have helped us shape and reshape and continue to evolve this program. Let me just share with you a couple of interesting statistics about the program itself. Over the last 5 years, including what we've started here in the Nordics, we've had just a little under 100 women executives as mentees and just as many as mentors. We've had over 50 leading corporations around the world or in these regions participate. I say around the world because we're already reaching out to people in the countries we'll be going to as we expand and scale, and we have very good interest in driving support and participation in this important program. Across the 5 years and the 4 chapters, there's been over 1,000 hours of mentoring that has taken place. And just think about that. That's, roughly, around 100 to 150 women that have spent 1,000 hours working hard to, really in their spare time, help advance and create this network and the circle of trust and help people develop the skills and the capabilities to move forward in their careers. We've had 8 large events, and we've had 19 very prestigious speakers and lecturers around the world, from renowned government officials and academicians. Now, I want to also share a little bit of light on what drives HCL and our commitment to this program. Today, we're a company that has grown as a global technology leader to over $10 billion in revenue, and we have over 153,000 employees across 50 countries and growing. We're the fastest growing company in the technology arena for now 4 years straight. Just a few weeks ago, we were named to the Forbes World's Best Employer list of 2020. We were the number 30 position on that list out of thousands of companies. Behind these measurements and these statistics are the people and the soul of HCL. For 44 years, our heartbeat has been powered by clear values of trust and transparency, respect, equality, unique ideas, and entrepreneurialism. I would sum this up by stating that we're a forward-looking company, both innovative and transformational. We are socially conscious, and we are active and very aware and very active. These values have created extremely special bonds, not only through the 5 years and through our history, but even more so this past year during COVID, between our employees, our clients, and the communities that we live and work and transcend in every day. The bottom line for us, we're so convinced and excited about Women Lead, which becomes a powerful network and a program to advance professional opportunities while confronting the issues and the complexities. And I think Carolyn did a very nice job of summarizing some of those issues and complexities being addressed. But it's time for us to shatter the unjust and often systemic and systematic glass ceiling that's placed on women in their careers. It's so prevalent today in all societies. Sometimes it's obvious depending on the maturity of the country and the society. And sometimes it's a hidden, lurking, cultural issue that is hard to, see, but there's no doubt in my mind, women see it every day. And this is something that we're going to continue to tackle. We look forward to this continued journey together and realizing the most powerful of sustainable virtues, true equality for women in the workplace and in senior leadership and in C-suite roles. I want to thank you all again for being here today, for being part of this. Let's keep it going and let's keep it growing together. So now I want to shift into our panel discussion and bring on our first guest. Our topic is an inclusive world, the power of community and allyship. And with that, I want to welcome Christina David, the VP and Business CIO and Head of Enterprise Systems at Ericsson. Good morning or good afternoon and welcome. How are you, Christina? Oh, do we have Christina's volume? Can we check?
Christina, you could be on mute.
Hi, Christina, can you hear me? Okay, testing. We get to all see and learn about the power of video conferencing. No, not yet. Production team, can we just check her signal?
We're checking, Arthur.
Okay. Hopefully soon. Christina, we're building up the drama because everybody's so excited to hear what you have to say.
Christina, we just checked with our technical team. You may have to log out of the system and log in again. And when the system asks you to give permissions, allow your microphone, you should check allow for that.
So team, while we await Christina's return, can we bring on Lata?
Yes.
Let's do that. And I want to announce we had a third esteemed guest today, Marla Nielaus-Tarp, and we want to send our best wishes to her and to her family. A real-world situation today, her son at school tested positive for COVID, and you can all imagine it was very important for her to take care of family first. So I want to welcome you, Lata. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
I am good. I should formally introduce you, Lata Schilin, a former Swedish professional footballer and now a published author. But I think the whole world knows who you are. Great to see you.
I don't really know about that, but I'm happy if someone does.
Well, let me start the conversation. For context, as we talk about the theme of the panel, we talk about allyship. And, we kind of look at the word ally as a person that actively promotes and advances a culture of inclusion through intentional and positive and conscious efforts that benefit people as a whole. And, I look at, certainly look back at your career, all the things you've done, Sweden's best female forward, possibly in all history. Your brilliance and your fighting spirit have inspired millions of people around the world. So, let me ask you, especially as a person who used to have aspirations to play professionally a sport, but was rejected by the sport because of too many injuries. Did sports choose you, or did you choose sports?
I truly believe that sports choose me, but it was kind of my dad who introduced the ball to me and my sister. And she's still 2 years older than me. So, I did everything that she did. She started to play football, soccer, when she was 6 years old. And for me, it was like 2 long years to wait for me to start playing also. So I just really fall in love with the ball, and that passion was with me and motivated me during my whole career. And in the beginning, I was telling everyone that I was going to be a professional player. And at that time, I didn't even know if it was possible or not. For me, it was just like professional. It must mean to play, to do your what you love all the time. So I was telling everybody about that. It wasn't until later on I understood that, okay, let's see what kind of how we could do that, and if I can be a professional player. But I always had a dream, and I kept on working towards that.
That's amazing. Let me ask you, as you kind of look back on your career, who were some of the strongest supporters, and was it easy, especially in sport, to find the right mentors at the right time? We always think of mentors that they can help really increase the resonance of what you do, and then sometimes they can save you from stepping off a cliff in the wrong direction, right?
Yeah, of course.
No doubt. But who? Yeah, tell me about it.
Yeah, I could just say, like, first of all, it was really my sister. She was so close. She was my big role model, and she kind of showed me the path, how to work, and even if she was a tough sister, she didn't always held my back. It was also like she wanted me to move a little bit on my own, but still, she was a big inspiration for me. So I was lucky about that, having her so close. But at the same time, I really want to tell you guys that when you're in a team and it's like, I don't know, 15 plus women, girls when I was young, doing their thing, working together, strive towards a common goal. That's really empowering, and that's really amazing. For me, was even if I was but playing football, soccer, that's a kind of a men's world in a way. But even when I did that, I didn't feel, for me, it was obvious that I could play football because we did it in team, and we did it well, and we did it there. And that was really empowering. So afterwards, when I think about that, I'm really happy to have been able to do that with a lot of friends, a lot of female friends, and they have empowered me, since the beginning, really.
No doubt. And let me ask you a question. Have you, have you experienced barriers, really in the world of sport? Even though you were surrounded by women and you're in a sport that's called, women's football, what other kinds of issues or obstacles did you see individually and also as a team?
A lot, of course. I think that really early on, you understood that, okay, this is like, even when I played with the guys on the street, even if I was good, they had to, like, it was hard for them to just take that. So they always tried a little bit to tell me that I wasn't really that good. But so, I've been doing that when I was young, and afterwards, when I came up and started in the highest league, I understood, okay, we don't get any money. We didn't at the time. So we had to work hard all around. So you put on these goggles, Googles, you say, and you start to see injustice around you. And I'm really happy about that in a way, because And that made me sure of what I wanted to do, what I wanted to change. So when when my career developed, I was really like happy about taking every step. I got to go to France playing for 8 years as a professional player, and that was amazing for me. So I really I've always tried to push it a little bit every year. I wanted really to see something change every year, and I'm really happy that now a lot has changed, but there's a lot to do, of course.
Arthur, sorry for the interruption, but Christina is back on. Her audio is working.
Yes, thank you, Swati. So Lotta, I'm gonna come back to you because I want to pick up on something you said in a minute. But we also have Christina back on. Christina, the work you've done not only at Ericsson, but in the business community throughout Sweden, throughout the Nordics, and really I'll tell you, in the industry, it has also become very legendary, and you have such a big fan base as well. Tell us a little bit about your own background and career journey itself.
So I hope the audio is good now. Good morning. I was wondering if a marketeer you can read lips. That's what I was trying to show, but maybe that was not. It was. I just wanted to say that I was listening to Lotta, and it's really, really uplifting, and it's really uplifting everything that you do. And the way that I arrived here is that I probably the first complaint that I've issued towards HCL after becoming our partner was that I want to see more females on my account. So then I guess they got me into this event to get a real chance to maybe do some recruitment and listen into your absolutely wonderful and uplifting efforts to actually contribute to part of the word still calling diversity and inclusion, but I would say diversity and equity, because if we forget that equity at the end, then I don't think it's enough. So about my background, I know probably, at least from what I understand of the agenda, we're a bit behind schedule. So, very short. I was born into a country that was part of the communist bloc back in Eastern Europe. I don't know if, how many people do know a lot about communists nowadays. So a bit different from Lotta's experience. And one of the things that I have started to notice since I was a child was that not a lot of people around me had a voice.
Which country?
At least not a voice that. So the name of the country is Romania, which probably can only relate to people can only relate to it. Thinking Transylvania, Dracula, these type of things. So I started to notice since I was a child that not a lot of people had a voice, not one that they could have used to speak truth to power. And of course, females' voice, a totally different matter, but generally no one had a proper voice. So then I think that's where basically I started thinking that I have to first build a very powerful and strong voice for myself, but I also want to practice something that I didn't call inclusive leadership back then. I call it inclusive leadership today, which is gaining access to a diversity of voices. So that's my background. I have been an entrepreneur. I have been an intrapreneur. I think I am an intrapreneur right now, working in a huge corporation, but trying to keep a bit the spirit and the culture and the craziness of a startup. And this corporation that I call home by the name of Ericsson has brought me to Sweden. In the last 8 years, I've been living a much more democratic life here in Sweden, and definitely I'm able to practice my my leadership, my inclusive leadership agenda, and follow that dream, and only be constrained by my own limits, not by anyone else. That's a bit about myself.
It's really impressive, and I will tell you, I'm a first generation. I always like to think global citizen, but first generation American. My father came from a neighboring country, Poland. And as a child, I used to go visit. And throughout my life, my strongest role models have been women, from my mother to my sisters to my wife to people in my career. But I think of in Poland, Romania, in Russia, and some of the countries, I just hope that they will all catch up in the forms that they're in today, because there still is a lot of inequality there. Let me ask you, as you advanced in your career, and certainly living in two different economic and cultural systems, was it easy to find role models? Were there specific people that helped you, or did you have to really seek out and find people that could steer you in the right direction?
I'll actually bring maybe some role model idea for inspiration. Since we have Lotta on the call, maybe she liked that. Although Lotta seems so young to me that I don't know if she was this name. But as I said, I was born in 1976, and that year something happened at the Olympic Games in Montreal. There was a lady by the name of Nadia Comaneci who performed in gymnastics back then. And I can say back to 1976, the world was not ready for perfection, not at all. And this lady has performed there and had zero flaws, like no error. And then the jury wanted to give her a 10, but the scoreboard was not even ready. So the scoreboard actually displayed 1.0, if you remember. And what I want to say with this, and why Nadia became my role model, was not so much for the pursuit for perfection, but for her perseverance to never give up and not take no for an answer, and remove all the obstacles and actually achieve that perfection. And even more than that, building a life after perfection. Because that perfect moment for her happened at a very, very, early age. And I find it difficult for some, after they experience success so early in life, to actually be able to imagine and build how does life look after perfection. And she's living a life now in the US. And for me as an immigrant, it's another dimension of her being a role model, because she's raising her child in both cultures, respect, and building bridges between the two countries. So how she continues to build after success, a really growth mindset, a true role model for me. But then a different role model. There is an old saying that a communist is the one who read Marx, and an anti-communist is the one who understood Marx. So for me, those role models who understood Marx, starting with my parents, continuing with my teachers, continuing with my leaders, all of those who actually, part communist, but think inclusive, think as many voices as possible, as many diverse perspectives as possible. That's where, that for me represents a role model. And that's what I'm pursuing.
So very clearly, your experience has helped you go from reading to understanding, especially if you think about the workplace, right? And, let me ask you, have you, from that experience, have you actively sought, and then what are some of your proudest moments in helping women at work today?
I would just choose one moment, and then maybe one example, not one model. Models were many. In life and in this dimension of diversity, inclusion, and equity, I go by a quote that there is a special place in hell for women who don't support other women. And with this, I'm not telling people that they will go to hell. I'm telling myself that it has to start with me. So this is something about me. I have to bring my contribution first. And over the years, I have been in promotion discussions for females, and they were always the second runners. And there was always missing something, that essential ingredient for becoming a first runner. And I was a complete minority in that recruitment panel, a female. So I can talk a bit about that, how about being a minority and a female fighting for a female cause. And something that I didn't understand at the time, these females are also failing leadership assessments. So for me, that's kind of another discussion that we can have, like how these assessments are being built, what they are carrying, what they are looking for. So obviously, with me being a statistician and believing a lot in the power of data and so on, I didn't have anything apart from my direct experience and really looking at the potential of these females and not really at, you know, their experience, but their potential. So this is the proud moment, having a last word in promoting a female and seeing how they blossom today with absolutely no single exception. They didn't disappoint. They exceeded every single expectation that was put on them. So having that last word on promoting a female, I think it's one of the most proud moments that I can talk about.
That's outstanding. That's outstanding. And I want to build on that theme and come back to you, Lotte, maybe in the context of again, women's football. I think back to the last World Cup, and no matter where you were in the world, there was a discussion that really came about. And some of it, I do remember being driven by the U.S. team, but other teams as well, was the fact that there's a very glaring pay inequality in the sport. And, you know, there's no doubt in professional sports and in business, those issues still, you know, have there been steps taken by the governing bodies in sport recognizing and understanding and addressing this?
Maybe, yeah, of course. We had like our big leader in Sweden, Stefan Löfven. He's been talking a little bit. I know that he was on the football gala that we have in Sweden, and he said like this, we have to do something about it. And that's really nice to hear. It's important for like our leaders to talk like that. But we haven't seen a big change yet. But still, we are talking about it. We are working towards it. It's starting to get closer and closer. Last time we had to, like, for the national team, for instance, we had to work so hard. We worked for like 10 months, I think, just to, you know, create a new, I don't know what to say, but a new form of how we could get paid, at least like a little bit closer to the men's team. And, you know, they've been talking about it a lot, and they've been trying from the outside to push a little bit. And they've talked about the inequality in the Swedish Football Association. And, you know, I just feel like they have to show the way. They have to show the way, because it's a lot of, you know, a lot of parameters. You know, we have so many. We can talk about the sponsors and that they have to start, and we can talk about the FIFA and UEFA, the federations in Europe and in the world. They have to start, but we can also like lead by example. The Swedish association, they can show they are talking about equality all the time. Like, it's the core of their organization, they're saying. But in the end, it's not. They're not showing that throughout the whole organization. So I really hope that we can lead the way in some way, at least with the inequality in payment.
Well, it's interesting. Those sponsors are all corporations, and corporations that many of us, you know, and so hopefully we can keep the pressure and the voice up, because there's no doubt that women's football has probably proportionally more impact, especially on young, aspiring women and men that around the world. You know, it's just been phenomenal. And, you know, Christina, let me ask you, you know, that COVID times have been very interesting. And I think COVID in some ways has, as people have shifted to work, most people are still working at home. Some people are going into offices depending on country. Numbers are getting a little crazy. Hopefully we'll all have a vaccine, you know, ready to go in the new year. But, you know, it showed, I think, companies that maybe there will be more hybrid work, you know, work from home some days, work in an office, have the freedom and the flexibility. But, I'm curious. When I say it's heightened inequality, a lot of it's because there are, many parents that work, and there's a large proportion of people who are parents. Women are disproportionately placed on double burden and duty, versus men, and that comes out of multiple studies now. And I'm curious, what are some of the things that are most challenging, in your organization? Whether people have children or not, but challenging in day-to-day work and in plotting a career that, somebody like I might not notice.
Yeah, so I hope you don't mind if I am a bit provocative. And before talking about
Please.
COVID, I can tell you that in my view, the world is still largely built for man. And I pause here, right? So if I open now Google Maps, I can search for the fastest route, but I can't search for the safest route. Why is that? Maybe I want to search for the safest route, not necessarily where I live, but maybe in some parts of Sweden, maybe in some other parts of the world. As a statistician, I said I risk into going and bringing a lot of data points, but if I take one that's life and death, if we take automotive, if we take the car industry, it looks like from all the data points and research that we have, the car seats are built around the male body dynamics, thus failing to protect women adequately in case of car accidents. So the list can go on and on, right? So it's not only that inequity, it's the fact that we live in a world that's built for men. And I want to say it's maybe it's inspiring or maybe not. I'm not a feminist. I respect a lot the feminists. From my perspective, inclusiveness goes well beyond just gender diversity and inclusion. So I am afraid I cannot say I'm a feminist, but I do see this, and I'm a statistician. Formation and so on. So we are living in a world largely built for men. And when a pandemics like this come back to your question, then of course it's like everything gets amplified, right? And when we look at I was doing a bit of a research, and in Sweden, we're talking around, Lotta maybe you can correct me, 43 square meters per person, right, in real estate space. And when there was the situation in India, for example, where I have large part of my ride, then for us, it's not a female male necessary, but of course we get to conference in with the whole village, as they say, right? It's a lot of people on the call. We're not speaking 43 square meters per person, and the females still in the society have a really high responsibility to perform domestic duties and to take care of families and so on. Then one thing maybe, Arthur, because it's a lot of things, but one thing that I would like to point out, and maybe that's kind of a even bigger learning than just, the gender thing from the whole COVID thing. A colleague of mine in Ericsson went out on social media maybe a couple of days ago and said she was feeling a bit down, like mentally down. And she took the courage to actually expose this into a meeting and say, I'm feeling a bit down. And then she got 3 types of reactions. Number one, people told it's not okay to tell other people that you are not okay. Number 2, you have to cheer up. And number 3, nothing. The person just described how wonderful she or he felt and said nothing. And then going back to your question and seeing diversity within diversity, and seeing that here we're not talking women, we're talking, the diversity of women within the diversity of women, cultural age, and so on. I was thinking and speaking with my team in India. I said, for us, mental health is still a taboo. You brought a psychological safety person here to talk to us, but don't expect that, we'll give you 100% of what the pro are. So for me, really, what I would invite all the readers, and, I work with myself to never forget it, is how to listen to both what is said and what is not said, and see the diversity within the diversity, and see the challenges that are actually quite unique to everyone right now. But mental health was one thing that came to mind, and it's so different how how we tackle this issue around the world. Certainly different here in Sweden than in other parts of the world. For me, I learned this week that I'll never tell someone to cheer up, because it's absolutely not enough, not good enough.
Wow. It's just a very powerful message. And actually, I thank you, because that's an answer I would have thought of, but it's so important. It's so important. I just want to say I'm so grateful to both of you for your perspectives. I have learned a lot, and I'm sure that the many who have tuned in around the world take away some really strong insights and also motivation from you on the paths that you paved. This is one of the most fundamental issues of our lifetime, and towards establishing a sustainable and just overall healthier and happier and equal world environment. So I want to do this now. Again, I thank you both so much. Let me turn it back to Swati as we introduce our next section.
Thank you, Arthur. Thank you, Christina. Thank you, Lotta. Such interesting perspectives, such powerful message. Thanks so much. For the next session, it's my pleasure to now invite on stage someone who, with a sharp insight, steadfast control, and matchless inputs, has held the program together, even during times as challenging as the ones that we faced during the pandemic. The anchor, the rock, and the executive coach of Women Lead Nordics Chapter 1, Maureen Johnson.
Wow, Swati, can I get that in written? Thank you. That made my day. Hello, everybody. My name is Maureen Johnson, and I have been the executive coach for the program, and I work at a company called The New Leadership, and I'm working with leadership development, training leaders in their daily life. I thought I started to tell you about the recap. What have we done? We actually met the 17th of February. That is roughly a week and a half before us in Europe realized what was coming. We had absolutely no idea in the launch event. It was a really, really nice event where we met with the mentees in the morning, where we talked about goal orientation. We learned about networking, and we got to know each other. And then for lunch, the mentors joined. And that was the first time, actually, in the afternoon when the couples actually met. They sat down together and defined goals for the spring. What is it that the mentee wants to have help with during this spring? What specific topics? And then during the spring, you have met each other. The cohorts, the pairs, have met about 6 times. Some of you have met more. And you have worked with these goals, very goal-oriented, and done it very successfully. We've also added some webinars. And since time changed from the start, we started off inviting one of our mentors, Aukse Sukaskieni from Beck. She's from Lithuania. And she had been going through a big crisis just a year, 2 years before Corona. And she shared in a webinar about leadership in times of crisis. Then I had a webinar about resilience and mental well-being. You just talked about this and about how the importance about working with your own mental well-being as a senior leader and to do it proactively. HCL invited also 3 keynote speakers, and then we had webinars together with all the different chapters from the world and our Australian friends. We had Hanne Larsson, who is the CIO from Equinor, who told us about her remarkable career going from a cleaning lady to the CIO in the same company. She made the total career within the same company. Really interesting. Christina Gertie, Global Head of Workforce at Nestlé in Spain, shared her practical lessons and tools for aspiring women like the mentees. One tool she shared that I really liked was doing is your drug. We have talked about this during the spring. Doing is your drug. When you aspire for senior positions, you have to stop. You have to reflect and make sure that you spend your time on the right things. Egle Bronzini, Global Head of Global Infrastructure at Roche in Switzerland, she had a session about take charge of your own career. She also emphasized the importance about reflection. She's sitting down every 6 months and analyzing, is she on the right path? Is she on the job that she should be, or should she do any activity to change? I also had the privilege to meet both the mentors and the mentees in private coaching sessions, one-on-one, a luxury in my job, I would say. And you are such an impressive group of female leaders, ambitious, reflecting, brave, both result-oriented and with high people leadership skills. And you have chosen to work with topics like many of you have exploring career paths together with your mentors. You have worked with your personal brands, improved communication skills on how to be a voice in the room. And many of you have also improved your networking skills and starting to actually build up a network that can help you in your career. 5 of you, that is 30% of the mentees, have found a new job and a new position, even though it was Corona times, with higher responsibilities and with new tasks. Congratulations to you. I would like to thank HCL for this really ambitious program, and that you understand and appreciate the importance about gender diversity and inclusion. Usually these kind of programs in the Nordic countries cost a lot of money, and you give this as a pro bono in order to spread your vision. And thank you, Arpita, and thank you, Swati, for working together with me. It has been so fun. 2 ambitious, fast-driven marketing girls that have actually made this program working. But what I appreciate with you is that you're genuinely interested in making this gender equality happen. We talk research, we talk improvements, we talk really, really nice and good things together. Thank you, Pankaj, for taking the program to the Nordic countries. We heard from the keynote speaker in the launch event, and you also talked about it, Carolyn, about the paradox. We are equal countries. We perceive that a lot. But when it comes to break the glass ceiling, we are worst in class. Unbelievable, and we are about to change that, actually. Thank you, Arthur, for your vision for the program, that you make it as a global platform. Many of the mentors and the mentees work in global companies. To have a network of women from all different countries in the world, it's extremely powerful. And thank you, Anuradha, for sharing your insights from your experiences in D&I at HCL. It's time for graduation. First, I would like to talk to you, the mentors. You are a group of top executives in really fine companies in the Nordic countries. And you have given 2 really valuable things to our mentees, and that is your time and sharing your experiences. It's priceless when you are young and aspiring to have, Lotta, you talked about a role model, but to get a role model from another company in another industry and be able to work with your dilemmas and inspirations, it's priceless. Thank you. You have also helped other mentees. I have called you and asked, I have a mentee with this kind of problem, and I see another mentor with that kind of experience. And then you have taken some extra meetings. And I've been very impressed, because after each meeting the mentor and the mentees have had, mentees document their reflections and their learnings. And I've been so impressed reading these reports about the depth of the reflections that you mentors have managed to make the mentees actually do. So now, thank you, our mentors, for your time and commitment towards helping these aspiring women to grow. And we would like to share a certificate with you. If we would have met physically, I would bring you all up on stage. We will applaud you. We will thank you. But here comes a digital certificate. And thank you so much for your contribution. Then, dear mentees and the graduation class of Women Lead Nordics Chapter 1, I would like to congratulate you as well to completing the program, and I wish you all the best and good luck in your career. And we will also acknowledge your graduation with a certificate for the mentees. And we will, of course, send this to you afterwards. Mentors and mentees, please stay in contact with each other, the couples, the cohorts, but with our class of Chapter 1, with the global platform, the circle of influence, the most important circle. Let us stay connected and keep in touch and make this live for a long time and help each other. Thank you. Now, I would like to introduce the pairs to you and show you our cohorts. Let's see. Here we have pair number 1, Carolyn, Carolyn Tweetmeyer from Kone and Nagel, and her mentor Christina Vega Branchadell from IO Interactive. We have Christina Bodor from Electrolux and Nils Molin as a consultant in technology. Ellen Björk from Daresay and Hanna Salovara from SSAB. Emma Ahtonen from Delaval, together with Kristina Tormod from Rumble Consulting. Emma Bovden from Beck and Carla Arend from IDC. Eva Ganström from IKEA and Sarah Haywood from Carlsberg Group. Eva Wallén from Telia Company and Karen Beinio from Kone in Finland. Josefin Akrell from SJ and Linda Westerback-Litzen from Lantmännen. We have Katri Mentile from Microsoft and Yvonne Erlandsson from Stora Enso. We have Kristina Ingelin from Telenor and Jennifer Loveland from Gartner. Lisa Sjöholm from Husqvarna and Charlotte Tyggesen Paulsson from IDC. Maria Klockar Johansson from Intrum and Maria Kausurinen from UPM. And Maria Tuomi from UPM and Gunilla Dahlberg from Volvo. Mihaela Tapu from Lundbeck and Janice Fernandez Nielsen from Pandora. Regina Nilsson from Capgemini and Auxe Sukaskieni from SBA Group. That was all our couples. And now it's time to invite them on stage and hear from them about some reflections about their own journey. So welcome on stage group number 1. Here we are, Caroline, Emma, Eva, Christina, and Emma. Most welcome to all of you. I was thinking that we would go around and share one experience or view or learning that you took with you from the program. Caroline, do you want to start?
Yes, hope you can hear me. If I think about the program, I actually have two major learnings. One is networking. We've all heard about how important it is, and I did not really know how to approach it. To me, it was about going to as many events as possible and exchange as many business cards as possible, and that did not appeal to me. And my mentor gave me guidance and encouraged me to actually explore new ways of doing it, being visible, reaching out to people, post something on LinkedIn, and I realized I'm actually quite good at it if I do the networking my way. And also by running the Women Lead Initiative, HCL gave me access to this great group of female leaders that I can trust and reach out to in the future. So that's in terms of networking. And the other important learning is how unconsciously I was affected by the lack of female role models. I did not consider certain roles for myself because I had never seen a woman in this role. And my mentor helped me uncovering this, and I'm very grateful for that, to actually see that I had a blind spot and I had, you can say, unconscious bias. These have been my major learnings.
Thank you, Caroline. Emma Bowden, what do you think?
Yeah, well, something I would like to point out is the structure of the program that I thought was excellent and enabled us to have even better conversations with the mentors. I found it really helpful with the kickoff day in Stockholm, where we really focused on highlighting our priorities and what our goals would be, because then that meant that I could take it forward into the conversations with the mentor. And so it was really great to have a mentor who was outside of my organization, that we can discuss the goals. So helpful to have somebody who I knew had my back and my interests at heart, who listened and then also challenged me a lot to achieve what I wanted. So that was a great experience.
Thank you, Emma. We move to Emma Aktonen. I think you are muted, Emma. We don't, Emma, you need to unmute.
Sorry, what about now?
Yes, thank you.
So I would say that my learnings or experience from this is really that it was so important to have an outside view, because I think it's quite easy for people in general, but maybe for young females, to get a little bit stuck, either stuck in a role or a situation, especially if you are seen as an expert. So to really get someone's outside view or perspective, to make you understand what your potential might be and what you can actually do, was very valuable for myself. So that I would definitely take with me.
Thank you, Emma. And that has been sort of a red thread, this stop on a regular basis and reflect and get help to do it. And in order not to get stuck, we don't have time to get stuck. Thank you, Emma. Christina?
Yeah, I would say that, meeting up at the first session we had was really and truly interesting, and I learned a lot. And during the program, I would say that I've gained so much insight and learnings from my mentor, where we reflected together, and she also challenged me a lot. But I also collected so much knowledge, and also together with her, talking about my long-term goals and how to define them actually and put into action. So getting a new position during this mentor program and having this onboarding discussions for a new team and such, it's been such a great learning, I would say. Thank you.
Thank you, Christina. Eva?
Yes, there has been a lot of good discussions and helping in because I reached my goal to find a new position during the program. So that has been really, really good. And what we really discussed, for example, is what is your contribution instead of, when you're looking for something new, it's so easy to get stuck in what you don't maybe are exactly can bring on to the table. But what is your contribution and why do you want to have it? And then, of course, I'm working in the IT industry sometimes, and it's very much change all the time. And then really to focus on the why. Why are we doing the change? Why should this one be part of this? And to use that as a very, very strong change driver. So I think that has been really good. And for myself also to stop and also take the time to reflect both on your short-term goals and also on your long-term goals, and also dare to really have a long-term goals. I think that is also something that can be important, even if it's not totally clear what you want to do. Then you can have easier way to come in that direction.
So true. Thank you, ladies, and really nice reflections. Now the audience, you hear how they are. When you read the reports and you listen, they are extremely good in reflection. And as you said, Christina, moving into actually do things. It's not only about thinking things, planning things, it's about action as well. Take the first step and see what happens. Thank you. And we welcome group number 2 on stage. Welcome. It's Christina. She got sick just 10 minutes before we started, almost. And she has, during this meeting, actually sent an email. So I will start with her email and read her reflection. She sends all her greetings to all of you, and her main takeaway is that it allowed her to put order and set proper priorities for her in the future. And it allowed her to slow down and truly be effective one step at a time. She learned that she do not have to do everything at once, and that I learned that what I want is truly as a professional and relatively young parent. That is also a topic many of you have talked about, work-life balance. I can say really needed mentoring. I needed support in my quest to become the best version of myself, to become a better leader in my personal and professional life. I did not only get inspiration to find my path in my new role, which is challenging, but I also got to respect my own time much more and managed to become more effective at living. So that was from Christina Bodor at Electrolux. Eva, what is your reflection?
Well, I think it's quite close to what others have said here before. But I think the possibility to invest time and have a person to give you a second view and a different angle on the long-term goals and the daily issues, and to get that mix is just a great luxury. So that those discussions and those different viewpoints has been something that I really bring from the program. And also, I think listening to a lot of brave and inspiring women in the program having similar problems and how they act in that situation has also been a great takeaway in this network.
Thank you. Ellen, what do you bring with you?
I have 2 key takeaways from this program. One, I think Caroline mentioned in group 1, was the value of networking. We talked a lot about that during the kickoff in Stockholm, and I've been trying to improve my networking skills since. Now, of course, it might be difficult during Corona, but still reaching out to contacts digitally is also very valuable. So that was the one thing. And I think the other, it's been very inspiring having talks with my mentor, but also from all the other mentees. during this program. It's a lot of very strong and driven women. And so that's been an inspiration.
Thank you. And I know you met some of the mentees before the close down. And it's the Corona times.
Yes.
Is important not to cancel. Be plan, do it. Continue doing what you plan to do, but do it in another form. We've had even after work with wine in the mentoring group. Maria, what do you bring with you?
Yes, so for me, normally work life is really intense. So it's been really great to be able to take a step back and gain some new perspectives. And among other things, I've been focusing more on my career path. And many steps have been, when I looked at it first, it was really huge steps that I had to take. So I have learned a lot about the small steps and looking at different paths that you actually can move on in small steps one at a time. You don't have to, or parallel to each other. So you don't have to think about it that it's something huge you need to do. And that has really helped me. And I have been able to take these steps during this time also, which I'm very proud of. And I think one of the keys that I bring with me in this is self-leadership. So that's something that I got to practice and that I also have gained both perspectives from my mentor on, also from this network where there are so many ambitious and driven young women. And it's been a very big privilege of being part of that network, and you get inspiration all the time from them. I kind of get this push of and dare to take these steps. So I feel I got more brave and standing up for myself, and also believing more in myself in terms of that. And also the coaching has been great. So that combination of my mentor's perspectives, the network, and the coaching has been really, really good.
Thank you, Maria. Good to hear. Regina, what do you bring with you?
Yeah, first of all, I'm really grateful that we did get a chance to meet in person before this Corona thing hit us. So it's got to meet my mentor at least physically once, and we connected pretty much from the very first minute, and I hope to keep her as a friend for life. There were two major things that I got out of the program with my mentor's help. One was understanding my own capabilities. I've come quite a long way in my career already, but I've always had this feeling of not being good enough and maybe not being deserving enough. And throughout this program, I got a lot more self-confident. I can say that I feel much more comfortable in the new meetings, in being able to say what I think and to dare to disagree much more, having this self-confidence. And then the second point that was also super important for me, as I have changed jobs in the middle of this crisis and in the middle of the program, was think a bit longer term. What is good for me and what is good for the company that I'm working for, and not only focus on I would call dumb loyalty that isn't good for anybody. I was quite hesitant to even proceed with taking on a new role in a new company because of the loyalty to the one that I was working for. And thinking back on it, I would not have been happy where I was. I got an opportunity that was so much better for me and for my employer that it was a win-win. So thinking in a larger scale of things in the long term was a really huge learning for me. So, and also, as Maria said, becoming more brave.
Congratulations. And we see this also in research. Self-image, self-confidence, and self-esteem is something that you can actually take responsibility for yourself. And that actually limits women a lot in daring to take the next step. And but you're able to train it. it's not easy, but you can train it, and it over time you will improve a lot. Thank you so much.
You have a coach doing it, helping you. It helps when you have a coach that can help you.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you. But also, it's a good reflection. It's easier to do together with someone, and either you can buy a consultant like me, but you can help each other. You can take someone that you have confidence in and that you can be transparent with. You can come so far by actually asking someone, hey, I need to talk about this. You would be amazed about how far you can get in 20 minutes phone call with each other. Someone you know and trust, but you're not too close. So do that. Bring in help. That will increase your learning much faster. Thank you so much. Let's bring in the last group on stage. And here we have Lisa, most welcome. It is so that both Michaela Tapu and Katri Mentuli, they had to cancel very shortly before we started. So Lisa, it's only you and I. What do you bring with you from the mentoring program? The question is, do you hear me? Lisa? Oh. Lisa, are you there?
Marlon, Lisa was having some trouble, so we'll give her a minute. Maybe she'll join back.
Let's see if she come back into, maybe she have some technical problems.
Yeah, there were some technical issues here.
Yeah. And just for you in the audience, I guess you now understand how cool they are, our mentees. Already put a lot of miles behind them in their career and having sort of crisis management during the spring, but really, really skillful in making reflection, being brave and taking step by step towards their careers. It's been a true honor, if I talk to all of you mentees, to work with you, and I'm really looking forward to follow your career in the future. And I think let's do it like this, that we leave Lisa, and if we can get the sound from her late. Now, there you are, Lisa. Welcome. Hey.
Thank you. Hi. I'm doing good. I just had some problems with the sound. Yeah.
No worries. What do you bring with you from the program?
I bring with me that there was a time for reflection and really good talks with my mentor. I was challenged and learned some things about myself that I don't think I would have thought about before. So it was a very good time for me, I think.
How did it feel to get challenged by someone senior like that?
Of course, I think it was always realistic challenges, but there was then the commitment in order to actually do what was decided on, and the follow-up calls made it doable. Also, that this whole structure of putting down the notes every time, I really like the structure, and so then going back to that and remembering what we had decided on, and then also fulfilling it, taking the small steps forward.
Thank you, Lisa, and good luck.
Oh, thank you.
So thank you all. And before we are now moving on to listen to Arthur, who will talk to all the mentors. But before that, let's take a look on a film about Women Lead Nordics Chapter 1.
The Women Lead initiative enjoys a great legacy of enabling change to bring more women into leadership roles. First rolled out in 2015 in Australia and having successfully completed 3 chapters there, Women Lead launched its inaugural chapter in the Nordics this year. Under the guidance of an executive coach of the programme, 18 promising women executives from the region were shortlisted and paired with renowned industry leaders as their mentors. By hosting a grand launch ceremony in February, we kicked off a journey of learning, mentorship and self-discovery with great zeal. Despite the pandemic, the learning never stopped and took the shape of virtual meetings, insightful webinars by industry stalwarts, and much more. Today, after months of an intensive learning journey, we come to the end of this marvellous experience. It's a proud moment for us to see this cohort of mentees graduate with not just professional learnings, but also relationships that will last a lifetime. The circle of influence is a powerful network from which aspiring women leaders will draw mentorship, learnings, insights, guidance, and much more even after the formal conclusion of the programme. Today, it's not just the graduation of the first cohort of Women Lead Nordics, but also the start of their journey of leading the next generation of women leaders by paying it forward. We wish you all the best, for it's your time to lead now, and also your chance to lead the next.
Okay, we're back. First of all, to the mentees that just spoke, thank you each. That was fantastic. I've taken a ton of notes today. I think I've learned from every single person who has spoken. Let's bring on the mentors now. I want to go through and ask each of them a question and get a final word of wisdom. Can we bring on group one, please? Excellent. Thank you. And Charlotte, I know you're out there. You're on voice only right now, but I'll start with you. Let's take a quick look at the role that organizations play in, building a more gender balanced or equal workplace, and really work on promoting women into leadership roles. What should or can organizations and companies be doing better?
What can they be doing better? A lot of things. I think it's a lot about giving the opportunities and making sure that that we see the women and make programs. I think it's good to have programs that we make sure that we have equal opportunities for everyone.
Excellent. And Sarah, let me ask you a question. How can leaders, and not just women, but men as well, who have broken through all types of ceilings, but primarily women with the glass ceiling, how can people pay it forward?
I think from my side, I think the most important thing is recognizing that, we're in a position where, we can be the exemplars. We're the ones that can, demonstrate, how you can lead from a more diverse style of leadership. So, not projecting maybe traditional stereotypes of what a leader should be, acting authentically, leading as we are, and demonstrating that, you don't have to fit a certain mold or a certain like I say, stereotype almost of a leader to be successful in an organization. And I think that's key, for all range of diversity, whether that's culturally, gender, age, but accepting that diversity brings a richness. And by leading from that, it brings us to better outcomes as a company.
Thank you. And so I'm going to throw this question out, and Gunilla, Karen, Hannah, either of you can answer this. If not, I have other questions for you, but this one may be a little more controversial. But, what advice do you have for men who really need to learn and do things differently in the workplace? Does anybody want to take that one?
Well, if I go, I think the one discussion point that we have had within the management at my company as well is that if you're not actively including, then you're not really doing your job. So taking the the time to ensure that you get the feedback, you show the appreciation for all those people, not just the ones that are kind of closest to your own personality and so forth, is really the step that everyone has to take, male or female. You have to be actively including everyone and giving opportunities.
Very good. And before I go on to another question, Gunilla or Hannah, do you have any thoughts on that?
Well, I just think that men should be maybe a little bit more brave as we women often need to be, and also be more inclusive and dare to listen into what we as female brings in, because we often have another aspect to things. So I think that we bring in additional value into a lot of questions that, as we are different, that's from that perspective, I think.
Excellent. And Hannah, let me ask you a question. Can you share what's the one kind of final insight that you'd like to share with future women leaders that are listening in today?
Yes, I definitely want everybody to start to, first of all, think how they can themselves and also in their organizations act and talk about women leadership, because that is the starting point to then make the change. So I think that I truly believe in the chain of first thinking, then talking, and then moving on into acting.
Great points. And I want to thank you all, mentors in Group 1. Hopefully when this is all over, we'll all have a chance to be in a large room and venue again to look back on this and to also take the program forward together. Let's bring on Group 2, please. Hello, everyone. So Linda, let me start with you.
Yes.
What are your thoughts in terms of how companies can and should be taking better steps to ensure an equal and more balanced workplace?
That was a really good question. I don't have the answer, I think, but I think to be more including, but also to have a work-life balance for our employees, both women and men, because the men are also more equal now. The younger men, the leaders that I have in my organization, they are taking out their parental leave. The younger men, they are also sharing their work with their wives. So I think starting everywhere, in school, in work, in sports, everywhere, I would say. But it's not a good answer, perhaps, but I think that we should encourage all people to be more equal and to have more women on the decision position as well.
Okay. Excellent point. I know Nils could not join us today, and I think Janice had to depart for a emergency call. But Yvonne, let me come to you. What is do you have an insight or a learning, especially through this program, that you'd like to share, to future women leaders?
Yeah, I think there's quite a lot of insights that can be learned and shared. But I think what's the kind of critical thing for me is to, as a individual and as a person, whether you're female or what you are, you should learn to speak up. And I think speaking up and showing that you're there is really important, and also kind of to be yourself. We should not try to be something that we're not. We are who we are. And I think that's kind of really important, specifically if you're aspiring to become a leader in the future, is that don't try to be what people think you should be. Be yourself and speak up and have a voice. I think having a voice and speaking up and being yourself, I think is critical learnings any female should have with them. And I think we said this before, and the final one for me is to just dare to challenge and dare to questioning. Because if you don't do that, you're never going to drive change. You need to be able to help to influence and dare to challenge the kind of the status quo that sometimes businesses have, and the lack of not wanting to talk about equality, inclusion, and diversity. And I think we should challenge these subjects every day. In whatever we do, we should think about them and challenge them.
You're so right. You're so right. I thank you for raising those points. And Augsa, so let me ask, a great experience and, your advice to people in terms of taking steps to pay it forward. What should people be thinking about?
Well, I think so much have been said. I hope you can hear me, guys.
Yes,
so much has been
very
said
well.
so far, and I just subscribe to everything. But the most important thing is to always look, for me, it's always looking for a new way, a new start, and looking forward. I encourage people not to spend too much time in dwelling about the past, but actually reflecting on it and taking it forward, because life is changing so fast. Everything around us is changing so fast. And whether you're a man or woman, you need to adapt and be creative, innovative, and forward-looking. And that gives you the courage and the kind of the strength to go through most difficult situations. And no matter what you find yourself in, I think it's very important to think that it's not like, why is it happening to me? But the question I ask myself is, what can I learn from it? And what can I take forward from it? So that has been a lot in our discussions with Regina through the program, and I hope a lot of mentees would have learned such things from it.
That's fantastic. And before we go to group 3, I also want to throw this question out. I do think it's important. What advice would you have for men in order to grow themselves and to help tackle the challenge of inequality?
So I maybe can start. I think it's always start with being mindful and have it at the forefront in everything you do. I think it's also for businesses really important you drive this, of course, from top, but in through all areas and all leads in the organization. And I think I think we need to be daring to also be ourselves, even as men needs to feel comfortable to be themselves. We need to be able to come to work and bring our whole self to work, whether that is in thought or who we are, where we work and how we work. And I think that is my kind of thought to it, is that, we need to allow women to be ourselves and we need to allow men to be themselves, but be mindful about that by diversity and bringing different thoughts to the table, we create greatness together.
So well said.
If I may just add one thing to Yvonne, is when we think about diversity and inclusion, for me, the key word is inclusion. And it's about really recognizing and appreciating the differences in every aspect that we bring. And I say it sincerely as someone whose last name is difficult to pronounce and country is difficult to pronounce. So I have experienced differences throughout my career. But if you really focus and work with teams towards inclusion, then we don't need to speak about diversity. We just speak about the value we create together.
That's such a cool point. Okay, I want to thank you, Group 2. Those are powerful insights, and I thank you. Let's go to Group 3. Thank you. Okay, hello. Good to see all of you. Jennifer, let's start with you. And I'll go back to kind of the question around organizations, institutions. What can companies be doing better to create a fair and equal, a balanced, a diverse, inclusive workplace?
I mean, there's so many things, right? I think so I work at Gartner and we have research on kind of everything, but one of the things that really comes through is it's about having it be part of every day. So I think the biggest thing companies have to do is expect it from every employee. And I echo that it's really about inclusion. Diversity has all sorts of different things, but you can have the people in the room. It's actually about getting their contribution out. And so what we see is, you have to try to put yourself in their shoes and see what they value that's different from you that will help them contribute. So, flexible work schedules was actually one of the biggest things that came up pre-COVID. And there were so many companies that I talked to that were just very, I have to see you in the office for X number of hours a day, and you have to travel to go see people face to face. And most of those companies have come back and said, hey, I didn't really need that. So it's about making every activity conscious of getting the most out of other people and hearing their perspectives and embedding it in all of your processes, really.
Great insights. And, I think we always look for, what are the silver linings with COVID? There's been everything from tragedy to inconvenience throughout the world, but it certainly is going to teach, I think, companies that we can work in different locations and be flexible, and be human about things, right? So thank you. Christina, let me ask you your thoughts. What advice would you have? There are many people tuned in today, for all the future senior leaders out there. What should they be thinking about? What should they know from you?
Well, I think to continue or for new female or woman leaders to become a mentor for someone, for younger women leaders, and to share your experiences with others, recruit more women on top positions, put women in steering and management groups, market and recommend women for positions, and help them develop by letting them try and taste new and challenging things through education or others.
Excellent. Thank you. And I'll just note that Christina could not join us right now, but Mario, let me go to you. Your thoughts, really for all leaders, for women and men, how can they pay the experience forward in mentoring and providing guidance and support, and give out that helping hand?
Good evening, everybody. Just my background. Currently, I'm working with a team where I have 12 direct subordinates. 10 of them are men, 2 women. So I haven't been doing my part there properly. But of course, can give a kind of good example and role model for the other organization in our company to grow in their career. And my kind of way of working has been that you need to earn the trust always. So you need to take the full accountability and responsibility, whatever you do, to whomever you do, in whichever layer in the organization you are cooperating with your subordinates, with your top management and whoever. And by earning that kind of trust, whoever can kind of grow in the career. That is kind of my learning and also the guidance for everybody.
Thank you. And before we leave group 3, I'll also throw out the question that I shared with the other 2 groups. What advice, if you're comfortable with answering, what advice would you have for men that are listening and also on a learning journey, for them to be aware of in terms of understanding this overall issue?
I would say be brave and try out women. We have a lot to contribute with.
I think for me, you have to really stop and try to find a story that makes you realize how different other people's experiences are than yours. I had one of the men that I work with all of the things in the US happening around Black Lives Matter, actually wrote a blog that was, I thought, really insightful, because he was talking about a Black female woman on our team who's in supply chain in a very executive position, and that he never fully realized what it took for her to get there, that was above and beyond what he had to do to get there. And I think, there's very few men or just anybody that when you're thinking about somebody else's experience, that you really get it until it kind of slaps you in the face. And I think when that happens, it becomes easier for you to change. So try to find the story, right? Try to sit down and ask somebody what it really took for them to get there. And you'll realize it was a lot harder and a lot different path than what took you. And I think that makes a big difference to make it human.
Thank you.
Guidance would be that when you are recruiting somebody, so don't take the most self-evident case to win. So please go a bit deeper inside and try to find the kind of motivation and this kind of aiming higher mindset. Maybe not having that kind of huge and long-lasting career experience is something additional that kind of person could bring to the team and the organization.
Outstanding. I want to thank you. It's you, the other mentors in the other groups, such just tremendous words of wisdom and learning for everybody. Thank you for sharing your stories, and thank you for your dedication and time to this important program. And with that, I'd like to turn it back to our leader, Swati.
Thank you, Arthur. Thank you, leaders. One of the greatest values of mentors is the ability to see ahead what others cannot see and to help them navigate a course to their chosen destination. The wise John Maxwell said that, but I'm sure that this deeply echoes with our mentees when they look at their experiences with the mentors and how thankful they must be to have met you. And so are we. Thank you for giving your time and effort and joining us on this mission of bringing more women into leadership. At HCL Tech, commitment to diversity and inclusion is not just a tenet of corporate philosophy, but also a part of our DNA. With 155 nationalities as part of our workforce, it is something that reflects in our beliefs, behaviors, and even skills. To throw more light on this, I would like to now invite on screen a leader who invested herself into Women Lead with great zeal and commitment to make it a truly top-in-class program. The executive sponsor of the Women Lead initiative, Anuradha Khosla, Vice President, Human Resources and Head of Diversity and Inclusion and Employee Engagement at HCL Technologies.
Thank you. It is surely inspiring to be in this virtual room full of such incredible people who have gathered today to celebrate the achievements of the first batch of Women Lead Nordics. As someone who works on this agenda day in and day out, it is always refreshing to connect and engage with different perspectives, mindsets, to be provoked, to question our own conventional thinking. The issues of diversity and inclusion are incredibly complex and intricate. At HCL, we view diversity and inclusion as a differentiator and one of the key forces as we strengthen our presence on a global platform. And this was shared, by Pankaj as well as Arthur. The diversity of people in our workforce is representative of various beliefs, behaviors, skills, and it's actively contributing day in and day out to strengthening the fabric of the organization, keeping us agile and nimble-footed and innovative, true to the spirit of being a 44-year-old startup. Yes, we are a startup organization, a 44-year-old startup. The workforce at HCL represents 155 nationalities belonging to countries that we do business in. And this highly diverse workforce enables an access to a variety of perspectives and innovative ideas, productive work environment, and of course, then leading to customer satisfaction. I heard quite a few of you talking about inclusion, and as an organization, we are deeply aware that the benefits of diversity can be leveraged only if we are inclusive as well. So diversity by itself is not enough. Leadership in the 21st century demands that executives, organizations move beyond diversity alone to capture the true potential that comes from inclusion. So as per me, if diversity is the mix, then inclusion is making the mix work by leveraging the wealth of knowledge, insights, perspectives in an open, trusting, and diverse workplace. We clearly believe, that our efforts towards creating an inclusive environment should translate into people, feeling valued, treated equally, and with respect. They should feel safe, express their opinions, they should be empowered to take their decisions, and basically do their best. Inclusion is not bringing people into what already exists, but making a new and better space for everyone. Over the years, we've worked to nurture this and build a strong culture where each employee feels empowered to take decisions, grow, do their best. And this is also a result of continually reviewing and revising our policies and processes to reduce biases. So it has resulted, in us practicing inclusive measures, not only from a gender inclusion perspective, but also cultural inclusion, disability inclusion, LGBTQ inclusion. For us as an organization, this has been an ongoing journey. There are multiple methods and means through which a conscious effort is being made to embed right behaviors and habits in every, social interaction that is taking place at our workplace. And more so in today's environment, where we are all working in a virtual environment in the new normal, unconscious bias, or specifically each one of us exhibiting inclusive behaviors becomes more and more important. So the approach designed is top-down and systemic. There are multiple D&I elevators identified to drive the culture of the organization. And I'd also like to emphasize and share with you that there is a clear accountability framework for non-inclusive behaviors, and that has been established basically to further strengthen our efforts. So we go to great lengths to ensure there's integration of inclusivity in the organization's DNA. And we do this because it's central to how we function and our long-term sustainability. Coming to Women Lead, it's a natural extension of our internal career development programs. We have a program called Ascend, which helps women reach upper echelons of leadership, stepping stones that caters to entry-level and mid-level managers, and it helps them develop their leadership skills. So both within HCL and now with initiatives like Women Lead outside in our community, we as HCL are committed to creating and fostering workplace cultures that value diversity and inclusion. And we don't shy away from difficult dialogues that lead to understanding and tracking the progress on this. So as we draw to the end of the day, I want to thank you all for joining us in this celebration. Like many other plans, this year our graduation event was moved from an evening gathering to a virtual setting. We will miss the opportunity to see you all together in person, but we thought we could still do a little something to make the memories, from this evening stay. So I'd like to present here a sketch of the entire batch of Women Lead Nordics and the men and women who made this journey possible, made by a very talented artist. I hope you will take this as a memento of our time together. Once again, thank you all for joining today. I wish you all a pleasant evening and a great week ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, Anuradha. We'll share this sketch with everyone over email. With this, we come to the end of today's ceremony. Thank you, everyone, for your time and encouragement. I would once again want to congratulate this phenomenal cohort of this wonderful chapter. Until next time.